Hello, viewers, it's Josie. Welcome to Eclectic Movie Reviews and Updates. And it's spooky season. Uh, on Friday, or was it Thursday? Halloween Ends was released in theaters and on Peacock. And I watched it on Saturday. And I am gonna give my review of it. Let's do this. Okay, I love the original 1978 Halloween. It's an essential horror classic. I watch it pretty much every spooky season. And I loved the 2018 Halloween made 40 years later. Of course, what director David Gordon Green and co-screenwriter Danny McBride did was retcon everything that happened after the first Halloween in 1978. That was probably the best example of modern retconning I've ever seen. Though Halloween 2 from 1981, I believe that's when it came out, I don't think is that bad. I actually quite like it. But I'm a defender of Halloween Kills. Is it a perfect movie? Absolutely not. It's nowhere near as good as the Halloween 2018 or 1978 for that matter. But I still think it was unfairly maligned. And still very much enjoyed it. I happen to like David Gordon Green as a director. And I've loved his TV work on Vice Principals and The Righteous Gemstones. The Sitter is a fun, underrated comedy from the early 2010s. And I was really looking forward to the third installment, being Halloween Ends. I hate to say it, but I was disappointed. I was. Halloween Ends has an interesting conceptual setup laid in the foundation of social commentary, something that David Gordon Green and Danny McBride were clearly going for in Halloween Kills with the infamous evil dies tonight thing. I did not hate that like a bunch of other people online did. In fact, I thought that was a smart satirical take on contemporary mob mentality. And I think the reason why many people on film Twitter didn't hated that was because it sort of reflected something that's true about them. That's a discussion for a whole other video. Let's not go there. But throughout Halloween Ends, I felt like what they were going for would have worked better if it were a separate movie from the Halloween franchise. Alright, I'm now gonna head into full spoiler territory. So, if you haven't seen this movie, I would suggest you click out, or even if you haven't, even if, like, you haven't seen it and, like, are still curious to hear my thoughts and don't mind being spoiled, you can still listen to it. Alright. The character of Corey Cunningham was a wasted opportunity. The setup with him accidentally killing the piece of shit kid he's babysitting, legally getting away with it, and receiving the backlash from Haddonfield is what I was specifically referring to when I said there is good material here for a separate film. Sort of like an examination of cancel culture. And then Corey becomes the new object of finger pointing, with Michael Myers having conveniently disappeared for the sake of the plot. And then he and Laurie's granddaughter Allison's romance is so inorganic And then Corey's trajectory of becoming the next Michael Myers is very rushed and doesn't feel completely earned. And to that point, Michael Myers is transferring his consciousness, or like infecting him with his, like, sir, trying to comment on COVID, um, uh, evil powers to Corey is way too convenient as a step in such a character shift. Uh, and he and him being taking way too long to show up, and just just uh just just really pissed me off. Because it was like, you set up this, it was like they were abandoning what they were setting up. Michael Myers being absent from the film, from a Halloween film, you know what I mean, was something we saw in Halloween 3 Season of the Witch. Though not the most liked of the series, it does have its big defenders / fans. But even fans of Season of the Witch were not happy with the underutilization of Michael Myers. It's one thing not to have Michael Myers, but it's another thing to have a Halloween film not feel like a Halloween film. It was interesting. I saw on Twitter somebody like compare like the openings of this trilogy to the original trilogy. I guess if you want to call the first 3 Halloween films a trilogy, because it's, it there were they showed the similarities between them, particularly the similarities between the title cards for Halloween Ends and Halloween Season of the Witch. Events occur in this film that are so anticlimactic and out of character. I know that it's a horror movie and it's not supposed to be realistic, but characters make choices that ring completely false. Corey's trajectory towards becoming the next Michael Myers was so rushed, like I said, was so rushed and forced. And moreover, I don't buy for a second that Michael Myers would take someone under his wing and basically team up with them to do murders. It, like I said, as to reiterate, it's way too convenient. It's a shortcut. On that end, I also don't buy that Michael Myers would just suddenly disappear after becoming probably the most powerful he's ever been in Halloween Kills, and then just suddenly become weak. Like, and Jamie Lee Curtis says in Halloween Kills, it's even mentioned in the trailer for Halloween Kills, the more he kills, the more he transcends. Okay, then why is he suddenly, why are you abandon being inconsistent with your story logic and then suddenly having him frail? It doesn't make sense. Now, granted, Michael has been locked away for long periods of time in the Halloween canon. In the original 1978 film, I believed he was locked up for either 15 or 20 years. I don't remember the exact number, but... And then obviously at the beginning of the 2018 Halloween, it was established that he was locked up for 40. The difference here, though, is that the authorities put Michael Myers there. He did not consciously choose to turn himself in, if that makes sense. And then similar to Michael's rather convenient transferring of powers to Corey, this is an example of the film not being consistent, like I said, with the laid out rules of the world David Gordon Green and Danny McBride have set up. On that end, the most underwhelming scene of all was the final showdown between Michael Myers and Laurie Strode. The end of Halloween Kills foreshadowed a Western style battle, and I was and John Carpenter, I think if they did something more of that, it would have it would have been a real awesome tribute to John Carpenter. I mean, he's not dead, but still, like a homage to him, if that makes sense. Because John Carpenter loves westerns. In fact, Assault on Precinct 13 takes a lot from Rio Bravo, and uh, we instead I'll get to what I'm about to say in a short bit. We've seen throughout the many Halloween films that no matter how hard you try to kill Michael Myers, it's practically impossible. I'm not saying it can't be done on screen. In fact, it was done in Halloween H2O when Laurie chops Michael's head off. That scene is so ridiculously funny. The issue, though, with the execution in this film is that Laurie and the people of Haddonfield defeat Michael Myers way too easily. Like, her pinning him down to the table and, like, cutting him from the side, stabbing him from the side, and then she and the people of Haddonfield carrying him to whatever kind of machine that cuts him up is. It's knowing what Michael Myers is capable of how he's capable of surviving stuff like this. It feel like, to reiterate, I can't stress it enough. It's cutting way too many corners. The most frustrating aspect about all these inconsistencies, I'm so sorry to reiterate, but I can't stress it enough. They exist as storytelling shortcuts, thereby lessening the stakes that should be high by design in a slasher like this. As far as some ways this movie could have been improved, my brother Mike suggested that rather than having the third installment be a time jump, to instead have the entire trilogy take place over the Halloween week or weekend, because Halloween 2018 takes place like a few days before Halloween, and then Halloween day heading into night, and then so what my brother pointed out was he would have liked to have seen Halloween Kills and Halloween Ends take place all over the course of one night. It's funny. As Mike was pointing that out to me, I was thinking of the Before trilogy, but like Halloween. before Halloween sunrise, before Halloween sunset, before Halloween midnight, whatever, or after Halloween midnight, I don't know. I still think you could do a time jump in a better version of this movie, but just make it a better story. One of my friends suggested that the second and third films be consolidated into one. Like, Laurie would have her showdown with Michael at the end of Halloween Kills, and the story would end there. Oh, and back to what I was saying with another weak thing that I didn't like about the story was, although it is a time jump and Laurie has, like, it's shown that Laurie is working on her healing from the death of her daughter Karen, who's the mother of Allison, it still sort of treats, like, it's still sort of, the film sort of acts like the character of Karen didn't really exist. So overall, this is clearly the weakest film in David Gordon Green's retcon Halloween trilogy. But even so, there are redeeming qualities. There's some interesting ideas presented about mob mentality, cancel culture, and trauma, but unfortunately much to a fault. Halloween Ends is more concerned with shoving these themes down the audience's throat than telling a compelling narrative with the beloved characters of Laurie Strode, Michael Myers, and the people of Haddonfield. Nevertheless, the germ for a film separate from the Halloween franchise series is actually has me looking forward to see what David Gordon Green and Danny McBride have in store next outside of this universe. So yeah, those are my thoughts on Halloween Ends. It was a pleasure sharing this with you. Let me know what you think in the comments below. If you want to see more movie-related content and poetry, click the like button and subscribe. The links to my socials are in the description below. Happy Halloween! Goodbye for now.